Poor thing. Let me disinfect that poverty smell for you. That's what the leader of the local mom group said as she poured hot cream stew over me. I was already uncomfortable being forced to attend their New Year's party, and now this? I couldn't stay silent any longer. From now on, I'm cutting off all dealings with you. I finally spoke up about everything I had been silently enduring. Then the leader of the mom group began to deeply apologize, but her tragedy was far from over. I am Olivia, 37 years old, a working mom raising a 7-year-old son. My husband passed away shortly after we got married. So now I'm back at my parents' house, getting their help but still supporting my son as a single mother. There are neighbors who don't think well of me. One of them is Victoria. She and I are the same age, and I had hoped we could be friends, but Victoria fully displayed her intense personality. She looked down on me, a widow, as if she was more successful. I met Victoria soon after I returned to my parents' home. Good morning. Oh, a new face. Who are you? I met Victoria, chatting brightly with the other moms while taking out the trash in the morning. Just as the rumors said, Victoria exuded the aura of wealth. I'm rather introverted and plain, so I felt intimidated in her presence. Just as I thought Victoria, who approached me so friendly, was a nice person, she quickly showed her true colors. You're my age? Really? You don't look it. Is that so? Yes. You're dressed so plainly your hair is unkempt. You look poor. Why don't you dress up more? That's why your husband left you, right? Victoria said this in a mocking tone. I told her that my husband had passed away and that I couldn't dress up because I had work. Then Victoria, hearing this, widened her eyes and burst into loud laughter. Really? Poor you. Wait, you work? Is that why you seem so desperate? I couldn't live if I ended up like that. Hearing her words, huh? I couldn't help but let out a small. It seems Victoria didn't miss that. She immediately glared at me, speaking down to me in a harsh tone. What? You got a problem? It's the truth, right? You're a loser in life. You must be so envious of a successful person like me. Hearing her words, I immediately thought I didn't want to associate with her anymore. Yeah, that's right. Well, I'm in a hurry. What's so funny? Laughing when you're being made fun of? That's creepy. So you admit you're a loser? Pathetic. Victoria continued to provoke me, and I left the scene, unable to hide my irritation. Behind me, she got mad. I could hear Victoria's voice saying, "What an unpleasant person." That was my first impression of her. The next time I saw her was on the day of my son's class observation. My son had left our hometown and was taking his first steps in a new land, with new friends. As a worrier, I always wondered if he was being bullied or if he had friends. But seeing him mingle and have fun with his classmates at school was a relief. That's why I never missed his class observations. Victoria also seemed to always participate in school events, so I inevitably saw her there. But since I avoided her as much as possible, there was no harm. By then, I had made what you could call mom friends. All of us were working moms, and we regularly held mom friend meetings. None of them were spiteful like Victoria. Everyone respected each other, making it a comfortable place. Today, one of these mom friends invited me to a New Year's party. I immediately agreed to join and was excited about what dish to bring. Then, Victoria, hearing about it somehow, appeared with her entourage. Still wearing plain clothes? Why don't you dress up for a change? My husband recently secured a deal with a big corporation, so we have more money than we need. But Olivia, you still look so poor. Victoria said this right away, looking at me without restraint. The mom friends around me also seemed uncomfortable with Victoria, all of them making sour faces. By the way, are you having a New Year's party? I'll join too. Victoria, having overheard, said this as she leaned in. Honestly, we didn't want her to come, but we hesitated to say it to her face. Sensing our subtle discomfort, Victoria approached us with an irritated look. What? Is there a problem with me joining? I'm trying to reach out to you poor people, and you can't stop that annoying attitude? The New Year's party date isn't set yet. So you're just making up excuses to exclude me? How terrible. Is this the kind of harassment towards mom friends I often read about on social media? Aren't you embarrassed to do this in front of your children? Victoria's loud complaints made other parents at the school frown. Seeing the parents whispering to each other because of Victoria's loud accusations against us, I felt as if we were the bad ones. All right, fine. I didn't understand why Victoria wanted to be involved with us, but after her comments, we couldn't refuse. Reluctantly agreeing, Victoria's face lit up innocently with joy. We dispersed that day with gloomy expressions. Then, on the day of the New Year's party, Victoria ended up taking charge of the event. Originally, it was supposed to be at someone else's house, but Victoria insisted. My house is bigger, so it was held at her place. We arrived at Victoria's house with a sense of dread. Entering through the grand gate, the marble-floored entrance and the opposing staircase to the second floor overwhelmed us, making us feel like we were in a rich foreigner's house. Victoria, seeing us speechless, smiled delightedly. Her entourage was already there, surrounding her. Overwhelmed? Well, I guess it's expected of poor people. There's a pool in the garden, visible from the living room window. I often host barbecues there with celebrities. All thanks to my husband being a young CEO. This is the life of the successful, she said cheerfully, leading us to the living room. The interior was stylish, like a model room. Just as Victoria said, the pool was visible from the living room window. You losers will never be able to afford a house like this in your lifetime. Victoria, in high spirits, asked me to help bring a pot from the next room, where her husband was. Her husband, named John, greeted us with a nod and a refreshing smile. After placing the pot on the stove, he quickly went to the kids' room in the back. For the kids, since the pot was dangerous, apparently steaks were being prepared. Isn't he wonderful, handsome, and a great earner? A perfect husband for me. You must be drooling with envy, aren't you? Victoria whispered this, seemingly hiding her true self from her husband. She brought another pot and appeared beside me. I moved my chair a bit to make room for her to place the pot. Then, with a sarcastic smile, Victoria leaned in close to me. Let me disinfect that poverty smell for you. Before I could react, I felt my clothes getting wet. Caught off guard, I was stunned as the other mom friends screamed. By the time I realized what happened, it was too late. Fortunately, I was wearing pants and a shirt, so I could take off my top. Victoria laughed at me. Oops, the cream stew was too heavy and I slipped. What a waste. Amid Victoria and her entourage's light laughter, the other mom friends defended me, saying how could she do such a thing? My thighs were scalded by the hot stew, and I couldn't take off my pants. Victoria's mocking smile haunted my view. It's your fault for being there. And don't forget, you tried to exclude me. I was so angry, I decided to embarrass you right here. A huge success. At those words, my anger peaked, and the stares from the other mom friends turned sharp. Being forced to attend this New Year's party of the mom friends was already unpleasant enough, but I couldn't stay silent after what had just happened. I took a breath to compose myself, then turned to Victoria to make my feelings clear. All right then, from now on, I'm cutting off all dealings with you. Huh. Victoria looked puzzled at my words, and I responded with a smile. It was what you might call a professional sales smile. What are you talking about? Did the hot cream stew scramble your brains? Victoria's usual mocking tone didn't faze me. I switched to my business mode and spoke to her politely. I've kept quiet until now, but I'm actually the president of a certain company. You mentioned yesterday, didn't you? About completing a deal with John's company? That's my company. Hearing this, Victoria's face darkened for a moment as she looked at me. Are you serious? If this is a lie, you'll regret it. I promptly took out a business card and handed it to Victoria. She looked even more troubled, as if she was looking at something ominous. Do you believe me now? I gave a similar card to John, so he should have it. What? What do you mean? You're not just some poor single mother? Victoria's hysterical voice drew John's attention. He peeked out, surprised at the commotion, and quickly brought me a towel. Seeing my face, he exclaimed. Victoria, seeing his reaction, turned pale as she stared at me. Thank you for the hospitality the other day. I'm Olivia. As I said this, John immediately became apologetic and flustered. Seeing him like that, Victoria momentarily looked panicked, then quickly started making excuses. You see, I accidentally spilled the cream stew on her. It was a bit heavy and, one of my close mom friends, she did it on purpose. then interjected loudly. Victoria glared at them, but John surprised. What? Made her jump. What's going on here? It's not on purpose. Stop making false accusations. Victoria's followers, trying to defend her, pleaded with me. However, I had no intention of covering for her and shook my head. Victoria, didn't you just say you were disinfecting the poverty smell or something? My words drained the color from Victoria's face. John heard this and glared at her sideways. You, what have you done? She's an important business partner of mine, and doing something like this to someone? Have you always been causing trouble like this? John's intensity startled Victoria. I had no intention of helping her. Victoria then bit her back teeth in frustration and defiance. Where's the proof? You're just trying to frame me. It's all your fault. You've been excluding me and avoiding me. I was just uncomfortable with that. Victoria pointed at the mom friends behind me as she raised her voice. Her usual prickly attitude and behavior had led to this, but she seemed oblivious. It's because you always judge and mock these working moms, calling them poor. You're reaping what you sowed. I said this in a calm tone, and Victoria gnashed her words even more. I only told the truth. Especially you, Olivia. Seeing you, a single mother, working so desperately was just painful. And your, I'm trying so hard attitude, made me angry. Victoria lost her composure and lashed out at me. She was so frantic that she couldn't even hide her true nature in front of her husband. I glanced sideways at Victoria and directed a cold gaze at John. It seems that's the way it is. I no longer wish to be involved with this house in any way. Therefore, I am considering stopping all dealings with you. Your company is not at fault, but I've never felt so unpleasant before. At my words, John's face turned pale, his mouth agape, and then he glared at Victoria with eyes wide in shock. The major connection I finally managed to secure. Do you realize what you've done? Because of your outrageous behavior, we might lose this lifestyle. John said this, glaring at Victoria again before hurriedly apologizing to me. I'm terribly sorry for my foolish wife's behavior. Please show us mercy. If we lose the deal with your company, our future business plans and even our employees' livelihoods might be at risk. Please, President, give me another chance. I promise I will deliver results. John's desperate plea almost moved me. He wasn't at fault. But Victoria, interrupting his words, stepped on another landmine. Stop it. Apologizing to such a plain woman is ridiculous. It's fine, isn't it? It's their loss if the contract is cut. Your company is already well established, and we don't need to work with such a haughty president. Her words only irritated me more. She continued to belittle me, clearly unwilling to acknowledge me. You all act also high and mighty, but working while raising children is a loser's game. Victoria's blunt statement earned scornful looks from the gathered mom friends. Shut up. How much more disrespectful can you be? I never thought you were this kind of woman. Was the usual Victoria all an act? Have you been deceiving me all this time? If you don't change, I might have to consider our son's future and make decisions for his sake. John's words turned Victoria meek as she looked at him. Divorce. If that's your true nature, it's harmful for our son. That. Victoria stammered, pale-faced and stunned. John looked at her coldly. I've been suspecting the recent company expenses were odd. You've been indulging in luxuries with the company's money, haven't you? I gathered evidence easily upon a little investigation. I always believed you were kind-hearted, but now it all makes sense. We need to have a serious discussion about everything. At John's words, Victoria collapsed to her knees. Glancing at her, John returned to the children's room. From there, I heard his voice informing the kids about the cancellation. Victoria, left alone, turned to me and dropped to the floor, pleading, Olivia, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Please continue the deal with John's company. We're mom friends, right? If you support me, John might reconsider. Please. And ask him to reconsider our relationship too. Victoria begged. Please. Please. In a feeble voice, I sighed and coldly gave her my final word. I don't care about your marital problems. I'll take the business matter under consideration. If you've been using John's company's money without permission, that's embezzlement, a serious crime. Face your actions and pay for your crimes. At my words, Victoria looked despondent and then silently began to cry. Leaving her behind, I and the other mom friends went to pick up our children. The kids looked disappointed, so we decided to go to a new place. Afterwards, Victoria divorced John. During the divorce, she was sued for embezzlement and had to pay back everything. Now, she's living somewhere with that debt. Her followers also got a good scolding from their husbands after returning home. It seems they were close with Victoria's family, so the husbands heard about everything. Though they weren't divorced, their households turned cold. Since then, my bond with the mom friends deepened, and we started to form family connections. Initially, I was anxious about meeting someone like Victoria in a new place.